It's been exactly 1 year since I lost my job. It hasn't been easy, and I've had plenty of struggles. But despite all that, this year of unemployment has been one of the richest years in my adult life. It took me some courage to finally decide to share this. This is essentially exposing my most vulnerable part in my life right now. But authenticity is very important to me. My whole life I was taught to get in good schools, get good grades, go to graduate school, get a good job, and jump to a better job. I never thought of another path. A year ago today, I went into this year-end performance review meeting with my boss, and as soon as I entered, I noticed the HR lady was also there. And before I could react, my boss started reading this pre-drafted script, basically saying, "You are being laid off." And just like that, I lost my job. It was definitely a shock. I was paralyzed for 5 minutes. I just didn't know what to do. Although, despite the fact that this was a shock and definitely not planned, I was feeling this slowly build up feeling that I was tired of having a job. The year prior, in 2022, we went to Peru for 3 weeks. It was an awesome trip, but throughout the whole time, I had this underlying guilt in the back of my mind for missing work. To an extent, I was never actually in the moment. I hated that feeling. In the Journey to the West video, I said, my yearning to see the world has really been growing this year. It was real. I really felt that, and I felt like having a job is hindering me from doing all the traveling I wanted to do. There are so many places I wanted to see. But if I just take 1 week or 2 weeks at a time of a PTO, I don't know how long I could get to see all of them. Another important part is by that time, I hadn't been able to visit China for 3 years. I hadn't seen my parents and my grandma for 3 years. My grandma was 89. I really needed to go see her. I was imagining at least a month to make up all the time I had lost to actually spend some time with my family. And realistically, what company would grant me that kind of PTO? I actually wanted to start a YouTube channel 5 years ago. I have a notebook that I bought in 2017. I wrote on the first page, "Today I decided I want to be a YouTuber." 5 years had passed. So considering all of that, I thought maybe this time I could do things a little differently. My friend Tommy, when I told him I lost my job, he said, "Hell yeah, congratulations." I really love that. I love that attitude. I thought maybe it's time for me to not look for another corporate job and just give it a go as a YouTuber. So here we are, having a YouTube channel. The adventure begins, but not without struggles. The biggest one, obviously, is money. I picked up some gigs here and there to bartend or serve at my friend's pop-up, which is really not a lot. Mainly living on my savings, which I do feel very privileged to be in the spot that when I was laid off, I had savings enough to support me for at least a year. But you know, I am 34. I had worked many years before this. And also during the summer of last year, I sold my car, so that helped a lot too. But I wouldn't have any income for the foreseeable future because YouTube takes a long time to start making any money. The realistic way to deal with this is just to live very, very frugally. I had learned to cut out a lot of expenses. I figured out many creative ways to save money. Because I'm Chinese. Which I am going to make another video specifically about that. But the main struggle with money is not from not having enough to survive, but from keep watching the number on my bank account decreasing. Very constantly, the anxiety about money creeps in. It's like, oh God, I still don't have any income. And this kind of thought just comes in. It can come in anytime. Anytime when I'm not having a good day, I think about this. To not have any income and not knowing when I'm going to have any income. Uncertainty plus uncertainty. It's pretty rough. But eventually, I became better at dealing with this emotion. An author really helped me. His name is Ken Honda. He wrote a book called Happy Money. The core value that he's trying to say is that people always worry about not having enough money, but in reality, it's very hard for you to get to that point.
Trust is the hardest part of money EQ. You have to have the trust that once you let go of money, it comes back.
I decided to lean towards the happy money mentality. You can check out his video. It really helped me a lot when I had money stress. Another big stress point comes from self-worth and self-value. Getting laid off in the first place made me doubt myself for my value. It's like, if I was really good enough, why would I be laid off? First of all, that's not true, because when company makes this kind of decisions, many times it has nothing to do with your performance. Second of all, your value is not defined by your work. But I eventually realized, if you're not good at something, that's just because you're not at the right position. It's not your fault. You need to find your role. I learned this from playing Mario Kart, actually. Because I sucked so much when I started playing it. And then eventually I picked my character, which is Donkey Kong. I realized I am very good at being Donkey Kong. And I could sometimes win Paul. Doing YouTube for a whole year, despite the fact that I don't make any money, I still really love it. I feel the self-motivation all the time. I constantly think about content and how to make them. I never had that feeling when I was working my 9-to-5 job. I was in finance. Conclusion is, find your role, and you will find more self-worth in doing that. Another self-doubt point comes from YouTube, actually. Just like I said, I don't make any money, and my subscriber is right now at 160, and I've been doing it for 9 months. This number is scary, but my solution is simple. Just keep making videos. I come to realize the solution to many things are actually very simple. I decided I have value on the internet as a content creator. It's not paying off yet as how other people said the normal speed should be. But I'm going to eliminate all those thoughts, all those distractions, the outside feedback. I'm just going to hold my center, keep making videos, trying to make them better, make them more often, and eventually it will work out. Action conquers fear. That is real. And all the things you do will build your confidence. That's what I'm doing now. And you're welcome to join me on my journey to see when I would actually succeed. And by the time I succeed, you will be successful too, right? Is that a good sell? Maybe not. If it's not a good sell, feel free to not subscribe. After all the stressful topics of my last year, the struggles, I am excited to talk about the achievements, the highlights of my past year. The first one, obviously the biggest one, is I got to travel a whole lot. I went on a 1-month cross-country trip to see America. We took off from Charleston all the way to San Francisco and came back. We drove 9,000 miles. It was an awesome trip. And I'm very happy to report that I went to China. I was there for 2 months. I spent some good quality time with my parents and my grandmother. I asked her so many questions about her life. And we went to Costa Rica for 2 weeks. I learned surfing. I'm not good at it, but I'm learning. Yes, all these great trips that I got to take in this last year. You might think this costs a lot of money. Actually, it doesn't. When you're smart about traveling, you don't have to spend a lot of money and you can still have a pretty good quality travel. We're going to make a separate video on how to travel without spending a whole bank and still have a good experience. This is how I think of this. When I used to have a job, I trade time for money. This past year, I trade money for time. And I am 34. The years of my youth before I have a kid is getting less and less. So I really need to take advantage of the time and the freedom to really explore the world. You know, time compared to money is a non-renewable resource. So I don't regret a single bit taking this last year doing all these travel. And during the times that I was not traveling, I did a lot of pure living. It's not a quote, it's a star marks. Means emphasize. Pure living. These are things like cooking yourself a homemade meal, playing with your cats, watering the plants, going on morning walks, fixing old clothes. Basically things that I would like to spend more time doing, but when I used to have a job, I often consider them as a waste of time. And if I spend too much time doing them, I feel guilty. In a way, I am thankful for being laid off because that step, the hardest part, was done for me. I would say I never had the courage to actually quit my job. That's why they call it golden handcuff. It's when you have a good job, you're getting paid very well, you just can't leave. After a full year, I think I learned a lot. I think everything in the end comes back to mental growth. We're just on this planet in this lifetime experiencing life as a human. We don't take anything with us. The end product of our life is the person that we become at the end of this journey. So in that sense, everything comes back to mental growth. For me, this year has been a lot about dealing with self-doubt, self-worth, anxiety, uncertainty. I grew a lot from dealing with these. Life is about when you're thrown into a situation, you don't know what to do. Dang, how did I get here? And then you get out from the other end. You're like, oh, I did it. If you also just lost your job, I want you to know that you're not alone. I'm also here trying to figure it out, and I haven't made it yet. I'm still in this water swimming. I'm very happy to accompany you on this journey. You will have not so good days. And during those days, don't be too hard on yourself. You're allowed to have not good days. They're called mental health day. You don't have to be so harsh on yourself to be productive all the time. I truly believe life is a video game. And somewhere next corner, you will find a golden brick with question mark on it. And you just jump, and then coin's gonna come out. Ding! Those are my words for the fellow kids out there who also are unemployed or just feeling directionless. You will figure it out. We will figure it out together. I welcome you to join my journey of this self-discovery. This YouTube channel is a terrarium that you can observe me from in my natural habitat. Okay, so thank you for spending time with me today. I send you good energy from this tree that I absorbed to you, and everything will be okay. Okay, bye-bye.